He left his blood, his fingerprints, his clothes, even his waist. He stayed for hours, a phantom guest in a house of the dead. Yet 24 years later, the killer who annihilated the Miyazawa family remains a ghost, faceless and nameless, haunting the edges of one of Japan's most baffling unsolved crimes. The story begins not with the screams, but with the silence. A silence that was growing around the Miyazawa family home in the Kamisoshigaya neighborhood of Tokyo's Setagaya ward, long before the killer scaled their fence under the cloak of late December darkness. In 1990, when Mikio Miyazawa, a 44-year-old corporate identity consultant with a creative streak, and his wife Yasuko, 41, a former cosmetics professional turned dedicated homemaker and cram school teacher, moved into 3-Chome, Kamisoshigaya, the area buzzed with the life of nearly 200 households. Their unique duplex-style house, shared structurally but not internally with Yasuko's mother, Haruko, her sister Aniiri, and brother-in-law, sat nestled in a typical Tokyo suburb. Their family grew with the births of Niina, a bright, playful girl who loved ballet and piano, and later, Rei, their young son. They were, by all accounts, a picture of suburban contentment. But the city had other plans. Tokyo Municipal Soshigaya Park, bordering their property, was slated for expansion. Year by year, the neighborhood emptied as the government acquired land. Neighbors moved away, houses came down, and the familiar sounds of community faded, replaced by the rustling quiet of the expanding parkland. By December 2000, the Miyazawas were one of only 4 families left in their immediate vicinity. Their home, once part of a bustling street, now stood exposed, isolated, bordering the quiet park and the Senkawa River, a lonely outpost on the edge of the metropolis. This creeping isolation, investigators would later note, offered a chilling advantage to anyone seeking cover. Did the shadows hold more than just emptiness? In the summer of 2000, a disturbing undercurrent surfaced. Reports trickled through the remaining neighbors of animal cruelty within Soshigaya Park. Stray cats, familiar presences in the area, were found tortured. One had its tail seemingly severed, another a nail driven into its eye. In mid-December, mere weeks before the Miyazawas met their fate, a cat was discovered partially skinned alive. It later died. While no concrete link was ever established between these cruel acts and the human tragedy to come, criminal psychologists know such behavior can be a dark precursor, a potential escalation of deviant pathology taking root in the very park the killer would later use as his approach route. The unease seemed to touch the Miyazawas directly. On Christmas Day 2000, just 5 days before the attack, Yasuko confided in her father-in-law. A strange car, she said, had been parking directly in front of their house repeatedly on multiple occasions. There were other places to park nearby. Its persistent presence felt wrong, intrusive. Was someone watching, casing the isolated house? The question hangs, unanswered. 2 days later, December 27th, an eyewitness reported seeing an unfamiliar man, estimated to be in his 40s, simply walking around the Miyazawa home. Proximity to the park could explain it away, perhaps. But in the chilling light of retrospect, the sighting adds another layer to the sense of encroaching menace. December 29th brought another flicker on the radar. A man, described as wearing a skater-type outfit, deemed odd for the cold weather, was spotted at the nearby Seijogakuenmei station. More significantly, police believe that on this same day, from a supermarket in that very shopping area, a specific type of knife was purchased, a Yanagiba Bocho, a long, thin sashimi knife. It was the only knife of its kind sold there that day. The brand, investigators would later determine, was Seki Magaroku Ginju, manufactured in Fukui Prefecture months earlier. This detail points towards chilling premeditation, the acquisition of a specific lethal tool just 24 to 48 hours before the attack. Saturday, December 30th, 2000 dawned as the last ordinary day for the Miyazawa family. They went shopping together in the morning near Chitose Karasuyama Station. Later, around 6 or 6:30 p.m, a neighbor noted their car was gone, suggesting perhaps another shopping trip. At around 7 p.m, Yasuko spoke with her mother, Haruko, next door, their routine way of communicating despite living wall to wall. The evening unfolded with comforting normalcy, dinner, television, family time. Mikio spent some time on the family computer, a detail logged digitally. At 10:38 p.m, he accessed a password-protected work email. This precise timestamp marks the last confirmed moment a member of the Miyazawa family was known to be alive and active. Sometime between roughly 11 p.m. that night and the dawn of New Year's Eve, the phantom arrived. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, TMPD, would later narrow the window for the attack's commencement to a horrifyingly brief period between approximately 11:30 p.m. Saturday and 12:05 a.m. Sunday. The killer's entry point, police concluded after years of analysis, most likely was the second-floor bathroom window at the rear of the house, overlooking the now dark Soshigaya Park. The window screen was found detached, lying on the ground outside. To reach it, the intruder would have had to scale a 1.8-meter steel fence, possibly using an external air conditioning unit for leverage to access the window situated about 3.4 meters above ground. Footprints confirming the approach were found in the mud below. It was a calculated, athletic entry exploiting the home's vulnerable rear exposure to the park. Inside, the horror unfolded with brutal efficiency, yet laced with perplexing details. Forensic evidence paints a grim picture of the sequence. 6-year-old Ray, asleep in his second-floor bedroom, was likely the first victim. He was strangled silently with bare hands. There was no blood found on his body, suggesting a swift, chillingly quiet end, perhaps intended to prevent alerting the others. What happened next involves some inference, pieced together from the crime scene. It's believed Mikio was attacked second. Did he hear a noise? Was he confronted on the stairs or the ground floor? Evidence points to a struggle. He fought his attacker. The sashimi knife, the one likely purchased just days before, was plunged into his head with such force that the tip of the blade broke off, remaining embedded in his skull. He suffered multiple other stab wounds. Yasuko and 8-year-old Niina were killed upstairs. They too were stabbed multiple times. The level of violence inflicted, particularly on the female victims, was noted by investigators as extreme. With the sashimi knife broken, the killer armed himself again, this time with a santoku knife, an all-purpose kitchen knife taken from the Miyazawa's own kitchen. The shift in weapons suggests a degree of improvisation amidst the savagery. The killings themselves likely took place within that tight window around midnight. But what followed transforms this horrific crime into one of the strangest cases in criminal history. The killer did not flee. Instead, he stayed for hours. His presence lingered in the violated home for an estimated 2 to 10 hours. And what did he do during this time? The details are as bizarre as they are disturbing. At 1:18 a.m. on December 31st, more than an hour after the estimated time of the murders, the killer sat down at the family computer. He connected to the internet. For 5 minutes until 1:23 a.m. he browsed. Incredibly, he attempted to bookmark the website of the Shiki Theatre Company, apparently trying to book tickets for an upcoming performance. He also visited the homepage of Mikio's company and other websites. The digital footprint was undeniable, a timestamp proving his continued presence and showcasing an unnerving calmness, a chilling detachment from the carnage he had just wrought. He made himself comfortable. He went to the family refrigerator and helped himself to refreshments, barley tea, a melon, and inexplicably 4 small containers of ice cream, eating them with his fingers or crushing them. He used the upstairs toilet but didn't flush, leaving behind his feces, another potent source of DNA. He was injured. During the struggle with Mikio, or perhaps during the frenzied stabbings, he had cut one or both of his hands, possibly severely. Using the Miyazawa's own first aid kit, he attempted to staunch the bleeding using sanitary pads and bandages, leaving his type A blood mingled with the family's belongings. The nature of the wounds suggested to investigators that he was likely right-handed. He didn't just rest and tend his wounds, he methodically yet seemingly haphazardly ransacked parts of the house. Drawers were opened, papers rifled through, some documents were inexplicably dumped in the bathtub, others in the toilet bowl. He took some money, around 150,000 yen, but left behind a larger sum elsewhere in the house, muddying any clear robbery motive. Some reports even suggested he might have taken a brief nap on the living room sofa, though this remains unconfirmed speculation. And then, sometime before dawn, as silently as he arrived, he vanished. But he didn't vanish empty-handed in terms of leaving clues. He left behind a treasure trove of forensic evidence, a veritable portrait of himself in absentia. He left the murder weapons, the broken sashimi knife, and the family's Santoku knife. He left the clothes he wore over his own, a grey Uniqlo AirTech jacket, L size, a distinctive faded lilac sweatshirt with coloured layers, also L size, bought circa 1998, possibly a cheap swap meet type, black gloves and a dark green bucket hat. He left a black handkerchief and, crucially, a hip bag or pouch. Inside the bag, investigators found trace amounts of sand. Microscopic analysis revealed this sand was not native to the area around the Miyazawa home or Soshigaya Park. Instead, it matched sand samples from the Edwards Air Force Base area and another specific location in Southern California, adding an intriguing, if perplexing, potential link to the United States. The clothing itself offered more clues. The sweatshirt, though L size, appeared worn by someone much slimmer. The hip bag belt measured only 83 centimeters, leading police to estimate the killer's waist size at a slender 70 to 75 centimeters, which is approximately 27.5 to 29.5 inches. The shoes he wore, inferred from footprints left at the scene, were Slazenger brand sneakers, size 280 in Korean sizing, equivalent to Japanese 27.5 centimeters or US 10/UK 9.5. Critically, this specific model and colour were manufactured and sold primarily in South Korea and were not available for purchase in Japan at that time, reinforcing theories of a potential foreign connection. The sheer volume of evidence seems staggering. Fingerprints galore, DNA from blood and feces, clothing, weapons, footprints, even details of his snack choices. Surely, an arrest was imminent. Morning arrived on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2000. Yasuko's mother, Haruko, living next door, grew concerned when her daughter didn't answer the phone. Around 10:40 a.m., using her key to the adjoining Miyazawa residence, she entered the home. What she found was the unimaginable: the bodies of her son-in-law, daughter, and 2 grandchildren. The peaceful suburban home transformed into a scene of utter devastation. In the initial confusion, a blip occurred that would temporarily skew the timeline. As Haruko moved through the house in shock, she accidentally brushed against the computer mouse, reactivating the screen. This led to early police reports suggesting the killer might have used the computer again around 10 a.m., perilously close to the discovery time. This theory was later corrected, clarifying that the killer's only confirmed computer use was between 1:18 a.m. and 1:23 a.m. This correction significantly altered the understanding of his departure, suggesting he had likely left hours earlier, sometime before dawn, within that vast 2 to 10 hour window of his inexplicable stay. The discovery triggered one of the largest and most expensive investigations in Japanese history. A special task force was immediately established at the local Seijo police station. The sheer scale became legendary. Over the years, more than 246,000 investigators would be assigned to the case. They meticulously collected over 12,545 pieces of evidence. The public responded with over 14,600 tips. Yet the case remained stubbornly cold. The evidence, while abundant, proved deeply paradoxical. The fingerprints found liberally throughout the house yielded no matches in Japan's National Police database. The DNA profile extracted from the blood, feces, and potentially sweat on the clothing offered tantalizing but ultimately frustrating clues. It confirmed the killer was male, blood type A, but the ancestry analysis painted a complex picture. Mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, inherited maternally, indicated a mother of European descent. Further refinement pointed towards ancestry possibly originating from a southern European country near the Mediterranean or Adriatic Sea. However, mtDNA can persist unchanged through many generations, meaning this European link could be distant, not necessarily indicating a recent European mother. Y chromosome DNA inherited paternally showed East Asian origins. Specifically, the killer belonged to haplogroup O-M122. This haplogroup is widespread across East Asia but appears with different frequencies. Roughly 1 in 4 or 5 Korean men, 1 in 10 Chinese men, and only 1 in 13 Japanese men carry it. This unusual for Japan combination of maternal European and paternal East Asian lineage, coupled with the lack of any criminal record in Japan, fueled intense speculation. Was the killer a foreigner? Someone connected to the US military, given the Californian sand, of Korean descent, explaining the shoes and the higher frequency of the Y haplogroup? Did he flee Japan shortly after the crime? Police sought assistance from Interpol, acknowledging the strong possibility that the Phantom of Setagaya was not Japanese or was no longer in the country. The years ticked by, marked by anniversaries and renewed appeals. On April 9, 2001, the 100th day after the murders, a small stone Jizo statue, often placed as memorials for children, mysteriously appeared near the Sengawa River, west of the house. Its origin and significance remain unknown, another small enigma woven into the larger mystery. The case deeply scarred the nation's psyche. The brutality, the inexplicable nature of the killer's actions, and the frustrating lack of resolution led to tangible change. Driven in part by the Setagaya investigation and advocacy from victims' families, Japan's Diet abolished the statute of limitations for murder and other capital crimes in 2010. The Miyazawa family's killer, if ever found, would face justice no matter how much time passed. Mikio's elderly mother, Setsuko Miyazawa, became a quiet but powerful public face of the unresolved grief, appearing year after year at memorial events and police appeals, handing out flyers even into her 90s, embodying the desperate hope for answers. Yasuko's sister, Irie, also fought to keep the memory alive, authoring a book and advocating for the preservation of the house itself as crucial evidence until the case is solved. A battle waged against potential demolition plans as recently as the 20th anniversary in 2020. The investigation continued, albeit with dwindling resources. By 2015, 40 officers were still assigned full-time. By 2019, that number was 35. Public appeals became rituals, police displaying mannequins dressed in replicas of the killer's clothes at nearby train stations, distributing flyers, holding meetings. A reward for information leading to an arrest, currently standing at 20 million yen, which is around 130,000 US dollars, remains active. The house itself, fenced off and frozen in time, became a site of dark fascination. In November 2023, this notoriety took a morbid turn when 10 high school students broke onto the property as a test of courage, a grim testament to how the unsolved tragedy had seeped into local legend. The act prompted increased police patrols and new trespassing warnings. Even as recently as December 2024, nearly a quarter century after the crime, investigators released new or newly emphasized details. They publicly confirmed their strong belief in the second-floor bathroom window as the entry and exit point. More intriguingly, they revealed a previously undisclosed fact. The landline telephone's plug was found disconnected from the wall jack. Was this a deliberate act by the killer to prevent the family from calling for help, or perhaps to delay the discovery? It adds another layer to the complex puzzle of the killer's mindset, suggesting foresight, yet contrasting sharply with the deluge of evidence he carelessly left behind. Who was he? A young man, police believe, likely between 15 and 35 at the time, born 1965 to 1985, possibly leaning towards the younger end, a student or someone living a transient lifestyle given the skater-style clothes and seemingly reckless behaviour. Slim build, around 170 centimetres, 5 feet 7 inches, right-handed, blood type A, mixed European and East Asian ancestry, no prior criminal record in Japan, possibly injured his hands significantly. Wore shoes sold primarily in Korea, left traces of Californian sand. Why did he do it? Robbery seems insufficient. No known grudge existed. Was it a thrill kill? The act of a disturbed mind operating under a logic incomprehensible to investigators? Was the family targeted specifically, perhaps after surveillance, for some unknown reason? Or was it a horrific confluence of opportunity, the isolated house, and pathology? The motive remains the gaping black hole at the center of the case. 24 years. A generation has passed. The Miyazawa family rests in memory, their lives tragically cut short. Their home stands silent, a monument to an unsolved horror. And somewhere, perhaps nearby, perhaps across the ocean, walks a man who carries the secrets of that bloody night. He left behind a mountain of clues, a detailed portrait rendered in forensic science. Yet he remains a phantom, his face unknown, his name unspoken, his motive eternally elusive. The Phantom of Setagaya continues to cast a long, cold shadow, a chilling reminder that even in a world saturated with data, true darkness can still hide in plain sight. The silence around the Miyazawa house may have been broken by terror that night, but the silence surrounding the killer's identity remains deafeningly profound.